Just for those that are just joining, I want to tell y'all too, you're going to see a lot of Ella in these interaction videos. And it's just because we got to get this whole privacy confidential thing with video and our children here for training. And once we get that figured out, Ella, you will not see Ella so much. She's been my little guinea pig. All right. So today we're going to be talking about using center times and interactions to help the children learn. And there are two types of learning. All right, you have surface learning, which is your typical school age memorizing those key facts and principles. That octagon has 8 sides. A makes a or a. Oh, I think somebody is, can everybody push their mute button? Make sure you're muted unless you need to say something. Okay. You know, counting 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is surface learning, but then there is deeper learning. And unfortunately, I need to do that. Okay. And that's just when the children are actually connecting the knowledge you're giving them with real world stuff that they understand. So rather than saying, hey, an octagon has 8 sides, it would be, hey, on your way home, why don't you and mom try to find a stop sign? And when you're stopped, try to count the sides. Of course, with a lot of our children, that would be try to find a triangle on your way home in nature or at your home and count how many sides or points it has. That relates it to their personal life. And as you'll see through later on, it connects at a deeper level with them. It would also be like when you're teaching the ah sound that you're in dramatic play, you pick up an apple and you're playing with the apple, and then you explain to them about the ah sound. They're holding it, it clicks better. Counting. If a child's interested in cars, count how many cars are in the garage that you built. I hope everyone is able to be, let me check my little waiting room thing. Admit all. Lesson learned. I'm just going to let y'all join without me approving it. Okay. So that's surface learning versus deeper learning. The types of learning in early childhood education that we see are that direct instruction, adult designed and controlled by the adult. And then you have the playful learning. And it's, if you can imagine an umbrella, and at the top of the umbrella, you have, or at the bottom of the umbrella, you have 3 points. These are your 3 types of playful learning. You can have free play, that's completely child-led. Then you have guided play, which is really what we're going after here, where it is child-led, but the adult is there to scaffold. And what scaffold means, scaffolding would be where you find out what the child knows. So like the child knows that this is an apple and a banana. And then you build on that information. Apples grow on trees. Do you have an apple tree in your yard? That's scaffolding, finding out where they are and going up instead of going back. Also, under that playful learning, they have added this one, it's games. So even though it is adult designed and it has rules and constraints, it's still considered play rather than direct instruction, because it's a lot of interaction rather than just the teacher talking. So the 5 characteristics would be, I can't see because of all these things. Hold on. Sorry, guys, I'm still having to admit people into the waiting room. Okay. Okay. The 5 characteristics for deep learning through play. And you're going to see later on when I say deep learning, the reason they call it that is brain scans show that play puts your brain in learn mode, and it is a deeper learning, whereas surface learning, it's in there, you repeat it, it's gone. So the five characteristics to experience and get that child's brain into deep learning is joyful. We're going to go back through each one of these. Meaningful, interactive, scientific, and social. So now we're going to cover each one of those. Alexis. Sorry, I'm still joining people. Okay. So joyful, joy is the first one. So that doesn't mean that nothing is negative and that they're walking around and smiling all the time. The goal is to be, in the end, it's a joyful experience for the child. So the child's figuring something out, he gets frustrated, that's all part of the learning. You help him solve that problem and he receives joy. So the end result is that the child is happy after the learning experience occurred. And you guys can probably remember, like, even I can think back to high school, not really elementary, but if you've had a really bad day, you got boyfriend problems, or you're just sad, it's how much knowledge did you take in that day? It's not just something that we think. Research shows it, that those negative life experiences definitely have implications on what we're learning and what our brain is allowing to get in. It has to be meaningful. For children, meaningful means, because they're so egocentric, that I can connect this learning experience to me. Kolgos entered. Admit. Next, it would be, like we had talked about this earlier, a 2-year-old who says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But, and he's so excited and proud. But when that same child was given 5 pieces of candy and asked to count them, he could not come up with an answer. So even though it looks like he knows that fact, he doesn't understand the concept of counting. And then there was another little experiment that was done to support learning through play, where a child was told a triangle has 3 sides, and then the other child, these are all backed by brain scans. You see what's active in the brain to see which works better. The other child was going on a secret mission to discover secrets about each shape. And as you can guess, the children who played the game, Brandy is admitted, the children who played the game retained that information for a week longer, and they were able to identify shapes better. Another, we're going to touch on this a lot more, but another method that they're using to help children and show the power of learning through play is dialogic reading. All right. So this is something that I see some teachers do, and it works like magic. When you are reading the book, you're not simply just reading the words. Instead, you are saying, I'm going to just go ahead and do this now instead of when the slide comes up. Instead, you're saying, oh, what did David do? And they respond, he knocked over the table. Have you ever knocked over a table at your house? What did your mom do? Oh my, David broke the window. What could he have done? where could he have played ball so that way he wouldn't have broken the window? So I'm not reading the exact words, but the children are learning from it. And it shows a big gain in vocabulary gains and even in concepts. We just talked about David gets in trouble. And that it is engaging. It, even if their bodies are not active, their minds have to be active for them to have active learning. So this is many studies are finding that children learn best when they play an active role. And then this is a neat little experiment. So what they had was a toy. It had all these hidden functions in it and then surface functions. Just imagine a square. You push this button, this happens, but then you could flip down the square and there would be a hidden function in there. So when an adult showed a child all the functions, then compared to when an adult acted like they accidentally, oh gosh, look, this door comes down. It showed that the children who were not instructed explored the object more, and the children who were shown all of the functions of that toy, they just didn't try to understand more because they already assume that the adult knows it all. All right, so this is the brainstorming, evaluating, and concept development that they say needs to be a part of learning. So this is engaging in this type of play. It doesn't only help them understand the world around them, but it gets those critical thinking skills going, which makes it a deeper kind of learning. This is what the type of play that we're going to start learning a lot about soon. And I do have a slide about class. Megan Fiore, enter the waiting room. An example would be you're playing with a child and you say, hey, if I moved this block, what do you think would happen? Rather than saying, don't move that block or your tower's going to fall, you have the child come to that conclusion. If I moved it, what do you think would happen? And let that brain process get moving. Another great example is I'm going to put this blue and yellow paint in a cup together, or I'm going to put this blue and yellow ice cube in this bowl. What do you feel is going to happen when the ice melts or when we stir the paint? Let them come up with the solution. Also, socially, that is another component of deep learning. It can happen on your own, but it is more powerful when it's social. So a child can learn on his own in the block center, but if you're there with him or another child, it's going to be a lot more powerful. This is a little video. Oh, Lord. Yeah. This is a little video on making learning meaningful.
Hello, and welcome to the short module on making learning meaningful for children. In this module, you'll gain new knowledge and skills, and you'll hear about the ways that teachers plan activities and interactions that support children's understanding of the world around them. Making learning meaningful fits into the foundation of our house. The house framework helps us think about, plan for, and use teaching practices that are important for achieving school readiness for all children. Engaging environments and interactions are the foundation of the house. These are critical for children's social and academic development. The foundation has 3 parts: social and emotional support, well-organized classrooms, and instructional interactions. This module on making learning meaningful fits into the foundation, and more specifically, it describes strategies for making instructional interactions more effective and engaging. Teachers make learning meaningful and significant in a variety of ways. In this module, we talk about 3 strategies that teachers can use. They can link or connect new learning to children's previous experience, relate concepts to children's lives, Provide children with hands-on learning. Let's find out a bit more about each of these strategies. One strategy to use to make learning meaningful for children is to link new learning to children's previous experience.
What kind of boat is this one here? A sailboat. Remember we talked about fun boats and work boats? Okay, this is a sailboat. Would that be a fun boat or a working boat? It's a fun boat.
Help the children make the connections. Here's how. The teacher intentionally links new concepts or skills to previous discussions, learning activities, or events. The teacher alerts children to these connections. She might say, "Remember when?" or "Yesterday," or she might ask, "What does this remind you of?"
Do you remember when we walked over to the big field that way? Do you remember? We walked south and there was a big pond. Let's listen and see what we can learn today about ponds.
Another way that teachers make learning meaningful is by relating concepts to children's lives and taking advantage of materials and activities that are familiar to children. For example, teachers include props in the dramatic play area that children recognize. And teachers select storybooks that contain familiar themes. Teachers also plan lessons and projects that take advantage of events and activities that spark children's interests. In this example, the teacher knows that there is a large construction project in the neighborhood. The teacher adds construction vehicles to the block area and puts construction books in the book area and plans activities around key vocabulary and concepts. A third strategy to make learning meaningful is to provide hands-on learning. Instead of just talking about or demonstrating a new concept, the teacher plans activities that allow children to touch, manipulate, or experience the concept in a real way. For example, the children might be learning about spatial concepts, such as in front of, behind, or next to. Here are some of the ways that children can experience those concepts in a hands-on way.
Can you put it far away from Sarah? Far. Far. Very good. Now can you bring it close to teacher? Near teacher? Thank you very much.
You did it! You did it! Look, you can go home and tell your mom and say, "Today I walked through a cylinder."
Teachers use these strategies and others to make learning meaningful to children and to encourage their thinking and understanding. These strategies can be used throughout the school day and in a variety of activities. Children, just like the rest of us, learn better when the content is meaningful to them. By selecting materials, creating learning experiences, making comments, and asking questions, teachers help children make the connections. This module highlighted the ways that teachers make learning meaningful to children.
Okay, we talked about scaffolding a little bit. Let me make sure no one needs to be joined. We talked about scaffolding a little bit. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of something called the Zone of Proximal Development, ZPD. That is that area where a child knows the information without you and the level up to things he can know and do with a little bit of your support. That's that zone you want to stay in when you're learning. And then from there, you scaffold up to teach new concepts. This is a great example of scaffolding.
You've got the train, right? And these horses are waiting in the corral. And then we've got this flatbed train car. that the horses need to get loaded onto. Oh, look at our corral. We're gonna need more stability, aren't we? Yeah. This one's gonna rest because I can't get it to stand up. Okay, so let's work on this corral. Here we are. All
She
right,
could have let the
now you
child
wanna
solve
start
that
loading
problem
the horses. The
rather
train's
than
here, it's
fix it.
arrived. It's at the horse corral. Here's the dock.
Sorry, every time I check on
You want to help me
chat
load the horses,
reaction,
or do
it's
you want to
pausing
take
the video,
the
so I
train
will
back down
respond
the
to you
tracks?
later.
What should happen next? What, you want to take the train down the tracks? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to start loading the horses onto the flatbed train car. Okay. And are you the engine then?
Lizards.
Oh, okay. And lizards are coming too. All right. So here we go. Wait. Let's open. See if we can open this door a little bit like that. And then here we go.
Okay. So you guys know this, but research does show us that it's not only that play teaches just simple learning, but it teaches broad dynamic skills, deeper stuff. What can a group of children playing roles in a family learn? So you got like 5 kids in dramatic play. 4. And we're being mom, dad, brother, and sister. Maybe we even have somebody pretending to be a dog. What you guys can comment in or unmute yourself. Are these children learning anything, or are they just playing? Any suggestions of what they would be learning?
They're learning social interactions, the way a family interacts with each other, and sharing emotions and different things like that. They're always learning. Play
That's
is
right.
their biggest form of learning.
That's right. You covered most of them. Communication, negotiation, I thought this was cool. They learn creative innovation. They learn creativity when they're needing to find an object to turn into an ironing board to iron dad's shirt. And they, put 2 stools together to make an ironing board. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't think about these things, that they're learning how to be innovative when they're just playing. They're learning those critical thinking skills. When somebody imposes a rule, like an older child, and the younger children have to adhere to the rules to play. They're building confidence, and they're even learning content knowledge when things come up and the teacher introduces currency and things like that. That's what we're trying to get you guys to the point to where you're taking them above the level of what they already know in play and adding things like, what kind of currency are you using? And they're like, currency, what? And you're like, well, our currency in the United States is dollar bills. Okay. Building blocks. One kid knocks the other kid's tower down. I think Amy's joined like 5 times. So what is the child who got their tower knocked down? You're like, okay, yeah, no learning there. There is pretty powerful stuff, because they are, with your help, they are being guided to learn to control the negative emotions. She's building those skills that help her deal with sadness and fear with things later on in life. Oop, I wanted to say something else. I went too far. So this is where, when I'm in your classrooms, and I can already go ahead and touch on this, and I'm interacting with your children, it's always intentional. And I'm always just trying to be a model for you teachers to show you what the research and what the universities, what best practice, all of those things, what they're telling us to do. So when you hear me talking, I love it, I'm enjoying it, but I'm also doing it for you. So when you hear me say, look at him and say to your friend, I do not like that you just knocked my tower down. You need to go build your own tower. Have them defend themselves. That is such an important lesson. So yeah, getting your tower knocked down is an awesome lesson. All right, so let's switch topics to reading. And this was a suggestion by some of the board, I think Melissa, is that let's really focus on how to read to children. When we're considering children under 3, children until about the age of 3, of course, it's going to vary from child to child because we always look at developmental age rather than chronological. But children under the age of 3, they're just
on here, so I would be quiet.
Okay. Children over the age of 3 are just now starting to connect that you're not reading a picture, that you're actually reading words. Before they turn 3 or reach that cognitive development stage of what we consider 3, they just feel like you're talking about the picture. So consider that when you're reading to those under 3, you don't have to read the whole book. You don't even have to read the words as they are on the book because they just are not at the level where they can, most of them can understand print has a purpose. You can use your own words, make it fun, just like we did in the David book. I was not reading those words. I can read them, but if I make it more about them, that's when they get it. And that's when they start to like books. And just another thing about reading, informal reading, like reading with 2 or 3 children in a book center who say, I want to read this book, or with one child, that has shown to definitely be the most effective way to teach about books and literacy. Forcing a child to listen to a book, it can be risky because we don't ever want to give them a negative association to books because that can be lasting. Probably pretty sure that people made me read because I hate reading. Let me try to paint a picture for you guys. I was in a classroom yesterday. We had just come in from inside. And there were, children coming in from outside. You know how it goes. Go to the rug. Of course, about 3 or 4 of them were like, I don't want to go to the rug. So I get out my David book and I've got 2 fighting me. So I have 2 choices. I can fight with them or I can talk to these 10 children and teach them. So I told them, if you don't like my book, go get your own book. And go to the cozy. And about that, I know that we all want them in order, right? Everybody get on the rug, stay here. I get that. That is pleasant when they do that. But I think what we got to realize is we are spending more time fussing at the children who don't want to learn. And then these guys who do want to learn kind of get left out. So just think about sometimes, like say we're in a big group meeting, a board meeting or a staff meeting, and you just don't feel like being squished around a bunch of people. And so we retreat to the back of the building to listen to the meeting. It's the same with those kids. Maybe they're just at a point to where they're irritated. They had to come inside. We just need to let them go chill for a minute so they don't disrupt everybody. So just, send them over there, but just always remember 2 boring choices. Go get your own book. You can hold a pillow over there and that's it. Or your other choice is listen to my book. We already talked about that. Oh, this is one of our little staff members. I tried to completely crop out the child. There's 1 second where you're going to see his face, but it is a private video. No one but us can see it.
Best friends. My best friend always knows when it is supper time. Snoopy. Charlie Brown, look.
Sorry, I had to admit somebody in.
Good grief. He's not happy that he's about to eat dinner because it takes so long. And best friends always say thank you. See, Snoopy gives Charlie Brown a kiss. See the puppy? Say Snoopy. A best friend is always around to give advice. So friend, he's talking to his friend, helping him with golf. And best friends never miss each other's, that's my foot. Miss each other's pool parties. Look, they're swimming. Say swim. A best friend is always by your side, day and night. All done? You see? You wanna try?
Oh, there he is again. Okay.
Best friends.
Oh, sorry. So guys that are commenting, every time I check the chat, it pauses the video. Yeah, girl, go Lindsay, says Maddie. All right. What did I just do? Okay. I need to go back one. This is just, I just copied the 10 elves just to show you guys what it tells us about books. At this age, from age 1 to 24. Now, Lindsay was reading to baby. And read it very properly. When he was done, he was done. But did you see like how he was like looking at the pictures, and it was awesome. He was showing some real interest there. Great job, Lindsay. So 1 year to 2 years, they need it to be familiar, a story that's familiar, lots of expressions going on. And then the enjoyment, are they seeing you enjoy these books? Ages 2 to 3. That's when they need that personal experience. They need it to be familiar. If you keep noticing a trend here about familiar, it just goes right along with that. Children do not learn unless it's repeated. And then also with your 3 to 4 year olds, this is what we were talking about, is just now when they start to show awareness that print actually has a message, and that print is read rather than a picture being read. So, when you get to that 3, 4, and 5 years, absolutely read word for word, when they're engaged. Before that, it's just about enjoying a book. All right, let's move on. Yeah, we got plenty of time. Okay. Reading to preschool. Whoa, what happened? Reading to preschool children. Okay. We'll have to remedy this. Well, that information is not there, but what it says is just what we've talked about this whole time, is you gotta link it to them. We want to make it meaningful for them. Ask those children questions. Let them give feedback to you, a back and forth conversation. If you're reading this page right here and some child says, my mommy made me eat eggs, that's when you say, well, eggs are actually really good for you. That's where the learning occurs. The learning doesn't occur in, do I have to? I forgot. My dog ate my homework. The learning occurs in, do you feel like his dog really ate his homework? And then some of them are going to notice. Some might say, no, somebody's going to notice there's a dog with homework over here. So that's where the real learning occurs. Okay, guys, now we're going to get into some videos that show you let's stick with class. Show you what this instrument class that programs are required to use except for private. what they say and research says teaches children. Just giving you examples of what to do. Now, don't pay attention to the fact that I'm only facing Ella here. If I had children over here in this side and playing, my back would be against this cardboard right here. I'd be watching all these kids and interacting with her at the same time. And if I am one staff, I'm positioning myself and aware at all times. If I'm two staff, one staff engages meaningfully while the other staff engages at a common place like a table. Both are ready to react at any time, and both are facing all children, no backs to children. Come on.
You put it in here, and then you grab a fork, and then you want to watch what I'm doing?
Yeah, I was wondering what you were doing over here.
So I'm making some slime.
Some slime. What are the ingredients?
So I already put some. Now take it out, and then you cook it and do spatula like this.
What degree? What temperature degree are you cooking it at?
Let me put it on the grill. 40.
On 40. Is it going to make it hot or cold?
Hot.
Hot. 32 degrees is freezing. Did you know that? The things that we put in the freezer, they freeze when they reach 32. I had to join somebody.
I put it in my freezer, and now that I'm cooking it, it has to be hot.
Oh, so you're defrosting it. Very nice. What ingredients do you use for that slime?
So first I used this.
Okay.
And now I'm going to
This is scaffolding. Check it out. What does that do to it, Ella?
It makes it stronger to be hotter, and then we have to cool it off.
Oh, okay.
And it's a timer for me.
As you can see, she didn't know what ingredients meant.
Did you know that ingredients are things that you put into something? So like the ingredients of Ella is skin, nose, eyes, mouth, heart. So what's inside this? What's
glitter?
Okay, you use glitter as one ingredient. What else do you use?
I got something that we really have to use.
Okay.
This.
What is that? Do you remember? I'll give you a clue.
What?
We use pepper and
Salt.
yeah, that's right. It's salt.
Let's put some salt and fork it. Okay.
Fork it. I love it.
Now let's do some
I'm gonna fork it.
Pepper.
Do you like pepper?
No.
Why?
Spicy.
It's spicy. Oh, which color?
I've got to admit somebody. Sorry, guys.
Are you making? I mean, which color of slime?
Purple.
That's purple slime. What shape is it in?
We're now going down to
Rock.
3-year-old stuff.
Shape
Shapes,
of a
colors.
rock. What shapes are rocks? Are they squares?
Now look.
That looks like a circle, but it's really long. What is a long stretched out circle called?
An oval.
Hey, look at that. You are so good at shapes, girl.
I almost said you are so smart, and then was going to tell y'all not to do that. I screwed up.
Do this.
What's slime used for? Do we eat it? Is that, you're cooking it, so does that mean I eat it?
No.
Oh, what do I do?
Play with it.
Play with it. Yes, it can relieve stress. Do you know what stress is, Ella?
Yeah.
What's stress? Give me an example.
When you are mad.
Yes, and so rather than hitting your friend, has a friend ever hit you? Really? How did it make you feel when she hit you?
Sad.
And so you could take slime and squeeze it and play with it, and then would you still be sad?
No.
Oh, slime's awesome. And if you're real mad, you could squeeze that slime really hard, and maybe you could feel better. So, you know, you just kind of follow.
We've already talked about all that. That was the first video I'd done. I'll delete all that stuff or not make y'all watch that. So that was dramatic play. This is an example of the Magna-Tiles. The reason I did this is a lot of classrooms have Magna-Tiles. So this is something you could just do another example of. It's so easy to teach this way. You can do your organized stuff, but this is the stuff that really sticks.
Shelf or a big shelf?
A big shelf.
Yeah, see, so you have to get a lot, huh? Wow.
So much.
So much.
Soon it will be big. It's getting big. So watch out, it might fall on you.
How many do you think that there are right there? What's your estimation?
I think that is big enough.
Big enough? Can you estimate the number of tiles?
This is a scaffolding moment. She didn't understand what I was asking, so I had to go back.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 14, 11.
11 or 18?
Got to work on that, Miss Maddie and Miss
40,
Kenzie.
90, 59.
40, 90, 59. Estimating means we guess, and I guess that there are 48.
My guess is there is 40 pounds.
Maybe. You weigh 42 pounds.
So don't tell her she's
This
wrong,
weighs as much as you.
but I help her realize she's wrong.
Oh,
Or try to.
man.
I knocked it down. Okay.
It fell down. Wonder why it fell down so easy.
Dad, I knocked it down.
That's true. Do you
Got my
think
gross
it
fat
would be better
hands.
to build a shelf on this surface or this surface?
I think.
You want to try on both and see which works? Okay, cool.
First one's too hard because I think it's the best.
So I had to scaffold her down with the estimation. She didn't get it, and so we threw in the word guess there. So you can start out high on things that they might not understand, and then you scaffold down until they do. Right, Ellie? Are we going to start on the wood?
Yeah.
All right.
Dad, I think
Let's see if it's steady surface. Oh, I think that we could do an experiment. I'll build a shelf here. You build a shelf here, and let's see which one is steadier.
How about this? How about you build one here and I build one here, and whoever is the coolest is the winner.
Okay, that sounds lovely. Let's make, look at me in the eye. Let's make a prediction. Whose tower do you think will stand the longest? The one built on the carpet or the one built on the wood?
Mine.
You're making a prediction that yours will last longer. So in this tool class that you guys hear me talk about a lot, it is all about estimation. It's about prediction and introducing the scientific methods, and also language modeling, throwing out big words
And this
let
is-
them know what it means without. Oh,
These
and
words
yes,
are
you
also
say something. Start the
part
show.
of the 10Ls. You can find this stuff in the 10Ls too.
You have to see who's
Sorry, she's
the
gonna
best
lecture.
at playing blocks that are magnets and
Get ready for it, Maddie and
prediction
Kenzie.
one. It is the goodest, and if you have any boy or girl could play with it if they want to. And
Bella's gonna be a
if
trainer
they
when
do
she grows
something
up.
wrong,
Is it?
you sit down on your knees and be good to them when they're throwing
Get down on your
stuff.
knees and be good to them.
And
You think she's
everything
her
will
mate?
be all fine and-
Talk little.
Yeah.
Okay. What we got next, guys? We've already done that. This is my favorite, and this is the last long Ella video, but this is my favorite. So the reason I did this is when I was at a center yesterday, had the most beautiful teaching moment that I've had in a long time. Like, it's just one of those that wanted to make you tear up, man. There was a child, a little girl that, my belly's growling so loud. I hope y'all can't hear it. There's a little girl that was really having a hard time, probably half because I was in the room and she was doing what she was doing. She was struggling. So her and I, and about 3 more girls, we're going to walk around the playground and discover stuff. So we came upon, in Rockwood, they have those tires around the trees right now. And then there's roots that you can step on and see. They're exposed roots. So we got to those exposed roots and we started talking about, what is that? Is that a stick laying on the ground? Can we pick it up? And they were like, yeah, it's a stick. So we tried to pick it up, couldn't pick it up. So then we tried to push the tree down. And I want to add this because the coolest part was, I said, guys, what is holding this tree up? And one of them said, it's the tire. So we wiggled the tire, tree didn't move, and we just kept problem solving, and it was just perfect. So me and Ella tried to recreate it, but this has turned into something really cool with her.
Do we have a couple to go?
Yeah. Hey, wait, what is that?
Let's go get
What is
a
that?
cracker.
What's that thing?
Is this a stick? Can you pick this up?
That's a stick. That's a ginormous stick or a pipe.
A stick or a pipe? Good guess. Wonder, is there something holding the tree up? Can we push the tree over? Let's try. Ready? 1, 2, 3, push.
No.
What's holding it up? What's making it stand up so strong?
Maybe it is this thing.
Oh, maybe it is that thing. Look how long it is, Ella.
It's 50 miles away from here.
It is. So you think that is holding the tree up?
Yeah.
So it's like the tree's arm?
Is this?
Yeah. You know what it's called?
What?
It's called a root. The tree's root.
What is that thing up there?
What do you think that is?
Is it? Oh, I know what that is.
What?
So, one day a butterfly came out there, and then that thing closed, and then turned into a heart shape, and then it flew away forever.
Wow, that is a magical story. I like that story. Yeah. I wonder if there was a heart-shaped limb that came out like this. And what do you think happened to the limb, the heart-shaped limb?
It fell into our creek.
Oh, okay. What do people do? What do people
I
use
should have just went
if
with
a
that
limb is
and
starting to
said
fall
yes.
down and they need it
Followed
off of
it
the
up
tree? Do you know?
with what could have
Wait a minute, come
knocked it
I'll
down.
give you a clue. It goes bzzz.
Well, come with me first.
Oh, okay.
We'll do
So
one.
she's done with that.
Okay.
So I'm following her lead.
So yesterday, me and my dad rode a big white top in the lake, and we're going to see if it's still there or not.
Okay, cool.
She's coming back to what is meaningful to her, connecting it with her
Okay. Do you
experiences.
think it will still be there?
And we also find,
Let's make a prediction. Do you think that it's still going to be there?
I don't know.
If you had to guess.
Yeah. And we also saw a gray and blue little towel, and we threw it into the lake.
Let's look at the creek right now. Come here. Looking at the creek right now, looking at how the water is, do you think something would have stayed in there?
I think the top's still there.
Yeah. Is the water deep?
Yeah.
Do you think the water would come up to your stomach if you got in it?
Yeah.
That don't work out.
It's pretty shallow. Yeah. So let's go see if your things are still there. That's a great experiment.
The top is right there.
Well, look at that. It's still there. What do you think needs to happen to make it move?
The water has to get way up to the top.
And how can the water get way up to the top?
At the rain. The towel's still there.
Yes, it is. That looks like one of my Norwex towels. Interesting. It's just a $20 towel. No big deal. So what would happen if it started raining really hard for like 2 days straight? Then what would happen to your stuff?
It would flow away forever, and it will never come back again.
Where do you think it would float away to?
The river across the mountain.
You're right. It would go into the Emery River. So let's come back tomorrow and check to see if the creek is higher.
And it's not going to be.
Rapidly.
I need to remember to follow this up.
All
right,
Emery
guys.
River. Okay?
Okay.
You ready to go in?
All right. The next video is 50 seconds long, but brings up something really cool. Great point. This is the last one
Hey, Ella.
of the Ellas.
Look. For some reason, there is a puddle here, but there is not a puddle here. Wonder why.
And you can swing the rope onto people's foot.
Okay, so she was totally not interested in that project. So you just move on, you know, and go find the next learning experience.
Turn the door on.
Like going inside and cuddling. Bye, guys. I
And
think it's
then-
time to go inside.
And just do that.
Okay.
There is one.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's all for our teaching today. So we're gonna go back in now
Okay.
and probably cuddle.
Okay. So she was not into that puddle thing at all. If she would have been, that's a hard concept, especially when you're looking at pavement. So what could I have done to expand it? And at the risk of clicking on things and messing things up, I was going to ask you guys, what do you think I could have done? I'm sure most of you already have ideas. The only one I thought about, could I make flat Play-Doh and then a bowl of Play-Doh in the classroom, try to get the bowl to hold water? No, because it would make Play-Doh wet. A bowl and something flat like a cutting board, pour water in the bowl, pour water on the cutting board. Why did the water not stay on the cutting board? It's the same reason that the pavement is that way. There's a little bowl in our pavement and it's collecting water. Oh man. Okay. Block play. Maybe some of you have been irritated with me in the past by saying you need your block play center to be huge. And I've stopped that, but because it's an assessment thing really, but the reason why is block play is like the best learning tools out there. I'll give you anything if I can.
As I think about the role of the teacher in a block area, I think about his or her presence is the most important. It's very important for teachers in the beginning of a school year to create a culture around a block building. And that happens before the children even first come into the classroom.
I'm making my own building.
I think the arrangement of the block area in any teacher's classroom is crucial to the experience the children will have. The larger the space the children can be given to interact with blocks open-endedly, the richer the experience will be. And the more children will be able to be involved and interact together.
It's always tricky to know when you should interject yourself as the adult into children's play. You don't want to disrupt their train of thought, but you also want to encourage the next level or stage. We refer to this as scaffolding, so what children can do alone and what they can do with a little bit of cues and clues and prompts from the teacher can get them to create things that are slightly above their own ability. So we're always looking for that sweet spot.
Do you think it's going to balance? What do you think will happen if you add another one on top?
I think one of the most effective things a teacher can do to facilitate deep block play is to be an active observer. The ideal scene at our school is for there to be a hustle and bustle of children's activity with a teacher looking on from the side. Inserting him or herself in to ask a question or to redirect or to clarify something, to help children with the language they need to negotiate and collaborate, but not to direct the play, not to insert themselves into a problem. There might be some children who aren't quite sure what to do because open-ended activities are not so familiar to them. They might gravitate toward a puzzle or something more closed-ended. So I think an important role of the teacher is to really observe what's going on and see the children who are not building and start playing with them. Insert yourself into the play a little more than you might, and then back out of it once they kind of get the idea.
So that's something very important for us as an agency to realize, because we are, some of us are just going to be, some of the classrooms are just going to be starting this kind of interaction, this kind of experimentation, problem solving that the 10L suggests that we do. So the children are not going to know how to do it. So we are going to be in their play a lot more than we will be 6 months from now when they understand how to play, how to engage, how to solve problems, because every day you're modeling how to solve problems.
You said you wanted snow, and this is more slushy. What do you predict is going to happen when I put it down? Is it going to stay like this, or is something going to happen to it?
It's going to melt. It melted.
Communication with younger children is very important because it allows them to explore their environment, to learn how to get information, and also to make sense out of the world. Talking is one of the biggest and most effective ways of communication that we have.
Good for you, you remembered that word.
Mushrooms.
You don't like mushrooms either?
Yeah. I like mushrooms. Mushrooms
You do?
are not food.
No, what are they?
They live on the ground. Look, a monkey. Monkey's on bananas.
It's very important to have peer-to-peer interaction where children learn to talk with one another.
What do you want to say to her?
What is it? It's a guinea pig.
If you both want the shovel, what do you think you can do?
Share.
Teachers need to think of themselves as role models to the children. Even though they may be using vocabulary that is not typical of a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, the child is looking up to the teacher for how do you do that? How do you express your opinion? How do you express your emotions?
Go ahead. You stepped on my building.
You stepped on my building. Did you eat your bottle? Yeah.
Children can understand language above what they can produce. When teachers are thinking about what kind of vocabulary to incorporate into their communication, they need to be aware that it's important to always introduce new words.
What's prediction mean?
And eventually that will become part of the vocabulary of the child.
Benjamin, what's the word prediction mean?
It means you're not sure about something and you want to see if it might work.
Nice. Okay. There might be one more video later on, but this is, we're starting to wrap it up. So now let's talk about, we now know how we're supposed to interact and how is it possible to teach these children while playing. So now let's talk about doing that, the actual activity of it. This is only going to be for those older 3s, 4s, and 5s. So all of you guys, birth to 3, Lindsay, of course, I forget every center is on here right now, but Lindsay helped me with the video and she actually even offered to help with my PowerPoint. So she's on forefront of my mind. You infant, toddler specialists, assistant directors, things like that. You guys can think about 0 to 3 and how you can best implement it. They just kind of wander around and follow you. So make every child a name tag. Vivian is working on this right now with Miss Carrie's class. Make every child a name tag that has their picture on it, since we're learning how to recognize their names. It's a great way for them to start to really recognize that name in preschool. Don't forget to do it in the way that kindergarten teaches: first letter capital, rest or lower, all print. Apply that Velcro to the back of the name tag. Make a center sign for each center. So it'd be like a sheet like this. It would say block play, and you would have 4 felt Velcro dots. And then if the children were going to play in block center, they take their Velcro dotted name tag and they put it on to one of the dots. How many children are able to play in block center now, since one is there? 1, 2, 3. Another child comes. Oh, we have 2 spots left. It's really a great math teacher. And then when they're all full, we're teaching patience and turn taking. You must go find another center until a name tag is removed. All right, so this is a big part of it. You got to decide how many children you want in each center. You always want to make an excess of at least 5 blank spots. So that way children have more than just, they don't want to go to science. It cuts down on behaviors to have an extra spot. So this is what a typical format would look like. Cozy and books, 3 to 5 children, depending on how big your cozy and book area is. Dramatic play, at least 4. You could do 3 if it's real small. It's all going to depend on your classroom size. Of course, when we come on down here to science and math, we want to keep those numbers low. Art can be very high, because art, and it's on down here a little, art and fine motor are table toys. So you can fill a table up with children creating art or working puzzles. Pull out the Play-Doh should be part of your art center every single day, because it's a fine motor tool. And if we're wanting to start teaching children how to write letters, we have to have that Play-Doh every day, because I went over it in last training. I'm not going to cover it, but if you don't develop those muscles before you start having them do that direct instruction writing, most of the time Kennedy's a perfect example. They will not develop the pincer grasp. And Kennedy still writes like this because Kennedy never had, she was writing letters in my sister-in-law's daycare before she ever even touched Play-Doh. So keep that Play-Doh out. We got to build those muscles up. Private centers, of course, one, I like one. If it's a writing center, you could do 2. Sand and water, you can do 2. We've already talked about that. Got to introduce that concept at circle time for a week straight. Then after the introduction occurs, you introduce it. We're all at group. Hey, Cal, come get you're sitting down nicely. Come get your center tag. Here's your center tag. Go pick a center. Cal goes. Another child goes. And then you have to monitor those centers. You got to say, hey, your name tag's supposed to be here. It should be here. And that would happen for months. And then when they get the hang of it, man, your life's going to be so much better. Last video about centers. Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Cheryl from Teaching 2 and 3-year-olds. Recently, I got an email from a reader asking, what do I do if the children simply are not interested in one of the centers that you have set up? And that's actually a really good question. And first of all, when I set up our centers, I really think about how inviting it is. What is my goal for setting up that center? And I think about how hands-on it is for the children. And I think about how many children will be able to sit in that area and so on and so forth. And when the children arrive during centers time, that is my time to observe and see how the classroom is humming, as I like to put it. And to answer my reader's question, if I see that there is an area that's just sitting there that the children just do not seem to want to become engaged in, then I like to go over and I will sit at that center. And usually if I'm over there kind of playing with what's ever there, or exploring, a couple of children will come over and I will show them how to use the materials, because if a child is not wanting to go to a particular area of the classroom, or if you notice they go over there and leave right away, chances are they don't know how to use the materials in that center. So that's my first step, is to sit with the children, see if I can get them engaged. If I still can't get them engaged, no matter what, they just aren't into it, I swap it out. I might not do it right at that moment. I'll probably wait till after school, change it out to something else, and again, observe. So no, I do not just leave a center sitting there with nobody ever being engaged in it. I want to find out why and then try to get them involved, and if they still aren't interested, I change it into something else. And know it, that's okay. It's like all my other videos that I have shared with you, quite honestly, it's not always going to be something that the children are going to be interested in for whatever reason. And sometimes we really don't know, or other times we didn't know until the children were in here and we started to figure it out. So I do have 2 blog posts about centers time. I have one that's geared for 2-year-olds, toddlers, and the other one for 3.
All right, so this lady, teaching 2 and 3-year-olds. If you want to follow her, I really enjoy her. All right, fostering play, minimizing chaos. Always, always, always introduce new materials before you put them into the classroom or in a center. That should be something you're doing weekly, you know, as far as bringing new stuff out, something from home, something from you know, it doesn't have to be store-bought. It can be a plastic bottle with cotton balls in it. And they're going to be like, oh, wow. Just make sure you introduce it so it doesn't cause chaos. Children always have to have introductions. Y'all know this. Always have duplicates, as you know. You know, one frozen dress in a classroom, just recipe for a disaster. Get 2 frozen dresses or take it out until you can get 2. Shopping carts. Don't put one shopping cart into a classroom ever. I've seen the biggest fights of my childhood history happen over shopping carts and baby strollers. We'd already talked about this. One staff interacts in centers, rotating, but always positioning himself. Austin and Blake, I'm sorry. I totally did not make this appropriate, and I'm just noticing it. But always positioning themselves where he may see all children. Yikes. I'm learning. And I'm coughing. Second staff is also interacting, but that second staff is going to be at a location, depending on what's going on during the day, but typically during free play, she will be at a location like at the tables where the children are doing the art or the children are doing the manipulatives. That's why it's a good thing to allow a lot of children to do art and manipulatives. It's a common area. That staff sits, but she's also got to position herself where both teachers are seeing. You got to work together. The co-teacher, the teacher, the 2 lead teachers, whatever it may be. You guys got to communicate. Hey, I'm going to be over here in blocks. I'm going to sit where I'm facing this way. Can you make sure you're facing or close to the door while you're playing? You know, if you're one teacher, same thing. You know where your problemed areas are. Try to position yourself in a problemed area and interact at that problemed area. I think of Sierra's room, that the edge of the table or the head of the table where she sits to interact at the tables is really close to the door in the bathroom. So it's awesome. She's able to react and interact. And just that, you know, you guys can just keep, I know you guys have a lot of things that you do as a program, and you can, of course, continue that. I'm not telling you to change things up if it's something that's working for you, but look at maybe the fact that telling a classroom of 16 4-year-olds, 16 3-year-olds especially, everybody sit together, let's all do the same activity and let's all behave the same way. You're not doing the individualization that the 10Ls and that I'm trying to choose my words correctly, that the state of Tennessee wants you to do. So individualizing it or doing it like, so say we got 16 kids. I'm going to take my 10 kids that are super stoked to write letters every day. I'm going to do a group with them. And then I'll take my 3 kids that are medium, probably need to be writing letters in sand. And then I'm going to take my 3 kids that probably just need to sing the ABC song and point to letters. See what I'm saying? Okay. Oh gosh, I just squeezed water all over myself. So this is something we're doing in a lot of classrooms right now. You walk in, you have these buckets, all right? Some classrooms have like 50 little people in a bucket. And then some classrooms have 3. So what I've said to the people who have 50 is take 40 of them. If they're meant for your classroom, take 40 of them, put them in a bag, put them up, leave 10 of them there. Next week, get those 10, put them up, put 10 new ones. And it stimulates kids and drops down on behavior. Or if it's something that you didn't buy and you share with the centers, give it to the people who only have 3 people. Just communicate. All right. How many of you have writing centers? Can you raise your hand? I'm pretty sure Maddie and Kinsey do. I'm still getting used to Zoom. I don't see any hands. So it's 11:26. We'll be done soon. Most efficient way to introduce writing is a writing center. So thinking about that when you're doing your new centers, writing centers are at the heart of learning. Oh, baby got a writing center. Of course, baby got a writing center or had. I actually have really enjoyed, not trying to better you up, but there are some things maybe that you mentioned that you did in your class, like sand and water play, stuff that I wish we could all get back to. Somebody else has a sand and water table. Who is it? I'm figuring Zoom out, guys. I can't tell. Anyway, yeah. Teaching letters. We can do it in the writing center. Have lined paper, have pencils. We got 3 participants that have raised their hands now. Examples of all the letters in the alphabet. They're in that writing center, both lowercase and uppercase. Give each kid an index card with their name on it. Put a little file box and have every child's name in this file box. Then they get to flip through that box and find their own name, pull her out, get a blank index card and copy their name. Then they start to identify their friend's name. Word of the week. Did I say that right? A word of the week or word of the day. So like if you're doing a word of the day, you could do rain, tape it to writing center and let them practice writing the word rain. But we would probably most certainly go off of sight words that they're requiring as we enter kindergarten to do that. Make letters in trace with sand. We talked about this, that group of kids that you need to be doing this with instead of, worksheets is, those kids that still just need to use their finger and whipped cream. Making letters from Play-Doh, pipe cleaner letters, those are fun. Okay, so I borrowed some of you guys' lesson plans so that way we could just kind of bring it home and make it real, because it goes the same for us. We learn better when it's, meaningful. Can we turn our sound on so you guys can like jump in here? If you want to, please jump in. After all that we've learned right now, how can we do deep learning when it is tracing a U on our lesson plan? How can we get that into a child's brain in a deep way?
I've done ones where they trace a U, but there's a bigger U that they get to decorate with art, things like stickers and paint or whatever.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that everybody used to get annoyed by about the free art. If you're giving them, hey, you can make a U with stickers, you can make a U with glitter and glue, although you're probably not going to choose that, or you can make your U with Play-Doh. They get to choose what they like best, and it makes it personal to them, and they're going to remember how to make a U better than if you just say, hey, trace these dots I've got for you. Learning about germs. What is a good way to teach that actively? I know we got comments going on. I'm trying to get to you. Cut letters out of paper and magazines to see different fonts. Beautiful. Oops, somebody said, can I go back one slide for 5 seconds so I can screenshot? What time was that? 11:29. Okay, I'm going back, Kinsey. I am going to go back. Is this it that you wanted to screenshot, Mackenzie? Okay, I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go back one more. Oh, no, I'm not. It's going to take too long. Mackenzie, it's recorded, so I can get you what you need. Teaching about masks and learning about germs. Like there's these cool little lights, I know, just as an example of something interactive that you can like shine on your hand and see germs. You could even do like some kind of experiment like they did when they were studying corona, where they see when I sneeze without a mask, when I sneeze with a mask. I don't know. Y'all get what I'm talking about. Y'all are skilled teachers. Sort of collection into categories for 10-elds. You can do hands-on things. Describe objects using names. Describe objects using names of shapes. Any of my infant toddler teachers want to chime in there? This is one of those 10-elds thing. How would you describe objects using names of shapes? I might be doing something wrong here. Let's see. I'll just, to save time. So like going outside and looking for those shapes and calling them out outside in relation to, there's a message. Oops, yes, thank you. I couldn't get it unmuted. Never mind. Go away. Go up there. Learning about the letter C, we had already talked about that. You know, you can break them into groups and teach them about C's according to where they are in their development. Reading a Bible story about creation. And this is like that dialectic thing they were talking about. Rather than reading the exact story of creation, sum it up for them so they understand it, you know, make it relatable to them. So then they really do understand about God's creation rather than just reading it verbatim. Teaching empathy about others' feelings. That's just doing it out loud. Anybody have any more suggestions they want to add in for these? All right, moving on. Intentional teaching through play. This is the toddler section, aware of surroundings. It asks, you know, from the 10-elds, aware of surroundings, making things happen, exploring textures and sounds in nature, holding things before dropping. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, looking at y'all's lesson plans, it's also interactive and hands-on. That I don't really feel like I need to say much more about that. Okay, guys, we wrapping up. Whoop, whoop. And it is 11:34. Okay, so, you know, as most of you guys know, I'm just trying to figure out what my role here is and what everyone can benefit from with me here. And we have discovered, as people have been trying to tell me, but I just couldn't get through my thick, like, clipboard head. So now we've found a solution. There's an instrument called Class. If you want to Google it, it is by Teachstone. I think some of you guys even did your CDA through Teachstone Class. It's all capital letters, CLASS. And I was trained a certified class observer, and we did really, really good with that. Another thing I want to mention I didn't write is because I'm a certified trainer for Class, every time I come in for your classroom's feedback, we're going to be able to count that as hours towards your CDA, towards licensing, because that's something I'm actually certified in. Well, will be. I let all my certifications expire when I started staying home with Ella. I'm getting recertified pre-K in April, infant toddler in May. In the meantime, rather than me coming in and doing those ridiculous reports sometimes, I'm going to be just familiarizing the teachers with the tool. And that's going to be through modeling. Every time I come in your classroom or I'm hanging out with you on the playground, it's intentional. I'm there to show you what Class is all about. We're going to get into it more. We'll even do a whole training on it. But I know that with new stuff, people can get nervous. So I'm going to show you in the next little slide. You can screenshot it, information about it, because when you read it, you're not going to be nervous anymore. So this is it. Y'all take a screenshot of that. While you are, I'll just tell you, it's about having a positive classroom. It's about not having, sarcasm and being mean to the kids. It's about responding to kids when they need you. It's about really paying attention to preparing materials before your class starts and not doing busy work, but having yourself there for the kids. The real thing that we will be studying and learning about is concept development, language modeling, and instructional support. And those things are the things we've been talking about, the scientific stuff and what they say really works. Class is required assessment for kindergarten through 12th grade. And it's also required for anybody who gets government funding. I'm going to get certified, not because it's required, just to help with interactions here. So no nerves. It's truly just you guys have all this down. All right, guys. It's going to be teaching that concept development stuff that we went over today. Okay. Hey, it's over. You're going to get 2 hours worth of credit. Oh, and I think you guys can still see me. So the class stuff, I want you to look into it because it's not a reason to be scared, because guess what? It's not required at all. And it also, everything in class, you are going to find also in 10Ls, most of it. Everything in class, you are also going to find in developmentally best practice. I even checked minimal requirements and not pulling those up, but a lot of it is even those basic state requirements. So nothing new, all stuff you've done before. Okay, guys, that's it. And this is posted on the board website. Just add a name and sign, and then we should be good. And it also, sorry guys. Okay. Sorry. What was I saying? I can't even remember. Oh, it also counts for licensing, which means it also counts for CDA. So all my little CDA girls and boys, there's a lot of you out there, men and women, sorry. You just got 2 hours added on. Okay, y'all, hit me up if you need me. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah. I'm going to go home and wash clothes and cuddle for the rest of the weekend. Okay, I'm ending it now. If I can figure out how. In slideshow, Zoom, end. Am I gone? Leave meeting. Okay, obviously totally did not learn how to exit out. End meeting for all. See ya.